I like to pick a cozy spot in my home or a cafe, ideally with a caffeinated beverage or anything chocolate. When I write, same thing, caffeinated beverage and anything chocolate. Now, what does that make me? I think it's pretty safe to say it makes me a caffeine-addicted chocoholic. But it also makes me a storyteller. Did you guys know that science is discovering that dark chocolate and fiction occupy and activate the same areas of the human brain? Well, I think that's why, say yes. So that's why I think we like to have a little bit of a yummy when we have our favorite book in a cafe. But seriously, fiction does have some benefits for the mind, body, and soul. And I'm going to tell you about some of these benefits. First one up, safe escape. We all know the world is stressful. We're constantly under deadline and under some kind of pressure. We have to be here, there, everywhere. We have to go to our NextNow sessions. But since ancient times, we've been beating each other's brains out on the ancient battlefield, and never have we been so stressed like that guy. And dark chocolate has been long known as a powerful de-stressor and a happiness booster. Feeling blue tonight? Have some dark chocolate. It's in the kitchen. Hate your boss? Offer him some dark chocolate. But fiction does the same thing. Fiction allows us to escape to any world that we want without the hassle of having to get on a plane, check into hotel rooms, stand in long lines at the movie theater, and designer drugs, which carry certain risks. The fiction allows us to read and escape through worlds that we would have not otherwise explored. And that's why I think we've bought 2.5 billion books in the US last year alone. Now let's take yoga for a second. Why is yoga good for the body and mind? Because it massages your internal organs, enhances muscle flexibility, builds strength and stamina, and it de-stresses you. Dark chocolate is good for the body and mind because, no, stay with me, because it has cardiovascular benefits, enhances your body's natural sun protection, I kid you not, and apparently it helps it decrease the risk of stroke and diabetes, and it de-stresses you. Fiction ain't so good for the body. I mean, you're sitting on your butt. You're not going to run and swim or hike and read Moby Dick, at least I don't. But it is great for the mind because it expands your worldview. It gives you access to the innermost thoughts of characters, which you don't normally have. Builds your attention span. Enhances. Anyway, the point is, if you don't want to do yoga or any kind of physical exercise, may I suggest get a good book and have some dark chocolate. Same benefits. Now, speaking of food, personally, I think there's nothing better in the world than dark chocolate. And I think when it comes to reading, there's nothing better in the world than a good book. But when you snuggle up on a Thursday night with your Kindle or your iPad, it's kind of too easy, don't you think? It's kind of like watching the Olympics. Somebody else does all that hard work and you get to just enjoy it. But making chocolate, just like eating it, as opposed to writing fiction, as opposed to reading it, is really hard work. I mean, think about all the things that you've got to do to produce a novel. Like this guy. I mean, he's desperate. He's got to develop a story arc. He's got to deal with the psychological issues of his characters. He's got to come up with metaphors, historical research to prove everything that he says, and craft stunning prose all at the same time. Now, that's a lot of work. But if you want to do that book, if you want to get that book published and make your mama proud, got to do the work. But you know what? That's what Olympians do, and that's what good writers do. And who wouldn't want to make their mama proud? So now let's talk about something else. Did you guys know that Einstein, Steve Jobs, Marie Curie, and Frida Kahlo all ate 2 ounces of dark chocolate every day? And Shakespeare did too? I'm just kidding, they never did. But they should have, because what dark chocolate does is it expands your blood vessels, which gives you more oxygen and more blood flow to your brain. It releases endorphins, which makes you happy. And it eliminates fatigue, which gives you great energy. So if you're sitting here thinking, I got the world's brightest idea, have some dark chocolate. And here you see, finally, the scientific evidence for where fiction and dark chocolate, I'm not kidding, this is real scientific research. I spent a week on this. In fact, I would go so far as to say that fiction is the lifeline to genius. Why? Because fiction eliminates the boundaries of the real world, and it breaks them up and propels you right into the realm of fantasy. And that is where imagination, insight, and innovation are born. And that, my friends, is the bedrock of genius. So can fiction make you a genius? Can fiction bring out the innovation part of you? I think it can. But you gotta make sure that your chocolate is 70% cacao and your reading is 70% fiction.